my name is Brian Sederwall. Everybody in the city calls me Pastor B, and I get to be part of the Denver Dream Center. The Denver Dream Center does a lot of work in the city. Really, we say see need, meet a need. So when people ask what we do, it's a little bit of everything. We value people, and so it's intervention to prevention programs. We work with men and women coming out of incarceration, out of addiction, into recovery. We will support families that are facing crisis, and we have a lot of programs that help support kids and youth so they don't fall into those traps that send them into places where they have regrets or hardships. We do a little bit of contract work with the city, homelessness, migrants. So really, you name it, and we try to mobilize people to do good. We do a thing called Foot Patrol. So on Mondays and Fridays, we partner with Denver Police Department. We walk with the police department so that there's again, a relational component. So it doesn't look like just policing to arrest bad people, because sometimes people just made bad decisions and found themselves in a bad environment. So our guys will be able to go up and have a conversation, actually introduce police officers to those people that are struggling, not as again, enforcement, but as a resource. And so we see so many moments that are providing safety and community opportunities. If we had days, I could tell you probably a million stories. That really is my why, because there's hard days. Oftentimes I tell people there's more failures than successes when you're trying to measure, sobriety or jobs, community involvement and transition. I've buried a lot of people. We've had a lot of overdoses and shootings and crazy moments, but the miracle moments, the stories, almost 15 years ago, I was in one of the housing projects, and I still like to think I can play basketball. I'm getting older now, but I found an outdoor court. So I was playing basketball with some high school kids. Long story short, the next day, one of the 15-year-old boys was shot and killed in some gang violence. And for me, that was that moment of like, was there anything else I could have done? Did I share what I needed to share? And so I just started showing back up to that neighborhood, and I would just knock on doors and introduce myself. I was meeting Denver Housing, but I was meeting residents, trying to meet families. And we started a program called Adopt a Block. And the mentality was not just doing things all over the city where we're so sporadic that when you go back, you don't see that a difference was made. You can pick up trash on the street and go to the next block, but come back and that trash you picked up the hour before, day before is right back out there. So we wanted to literally adopt a block until there was a difference made. We wanted to outlast the poverty, the crisis, the crazy moments, build long-term relationships that ultimately created success. And so one of our first neighborhoods we started about 15 years ago, and there were kids that were 7, 8 years old. We'd go in on Saturdays and we got food and games, and just, it really was meant to be fun. There for 2 hours, and we would leave, and I would tell everybody, hey, they call me Pastor B. Here's my cell number, call me if you need something. And two of the boys, Jake and Francis, they were 8 years old when I met him, and Jake multiple times, pulled a knife off him and told me he couldn't come back for a few weeks, and this, just crazy moments. But we've watched like Francis, he graduated from North High School last year. Now he's working at a barber shop, and so you start to feel like a dad, right? I've got 3 boys of my own, but I feel like I've got 100 boys that I get to be a dad, a father, big brother to. And so now with this long list of kids that we've seen them walk through crisis where they could have gone left, and that leads to a lot of pain, hurt, and disaster, or they fight through. And they fight with us. There were a lot of tense moments. They would tell you that. And, but out of respect and relationship, because of the consistency, we've seen so many kids now graduate high school, go on to college. Some of them intern with us at the Dream Center. They're giving back to the community. Those stories are powerful. When it comes to youth specifically, one, I'm a dad of 2 teenagers and a 20-year-old. And I know that time is really one of the greatest opportunities, but greatest obstacles. We all had moments that you're going to find something to do with your time, in either constructive, destructive, and so we got to find gaps. And what we know in our city, and really what's come to light over the last few years, is sort of that discrepancy in just equitable opportunities. The older we get, right? If you ask a little kid, right, 3, 4, 5 years old, they've not been persuaded by culture yet, or their environment. They don't know if they're poor or they're rich, if they're white or black, or right? And you ask them what they want to be, and it's anything, a ballerina to a pro football player to an alligator to Spider-Man, right? Like there's nothing that they can't create in their mind. But the older we get, or the more experiences we live through, we move from living in the creative side of our brain to the historical side of our brain, meaning like experiences. And so especially if you're a kid of color, you're growing up in a neighborhood where you haven't had someone tell you, hey, you can do anything. You'd be great at this and inspire you. But if you've been told like you're not good enough, or because of your color, or because of this, you start to believe that, and your mind starts to operate that way. So instead of believing and living off of create a future, you start living off of past memories, and those pains and hurts dictate a lot of that. And so getting these kids into a space, especially when they're young, and they just believe that anything's possible, yeah, it's powerful. Oh man, there's a lot of values, right? Again, for me, it's belief, right? That one, that you are valuable, and you don't have to be great at what other people are great at, right? It's identifying your purpose, getting people in a place to begin to write, to journal, to read, to dream, but to be around environments that produce that. If you're in an atmosphere and you're on a winning team, those memories are so powerful. What's crazy is there was a study, I think from Cornell or somewhere, that talked about the emotional impact of losses versus wins. And an emotional loss is felt 7 times more than a win. And so as we're growing up, we tend to feel heavy about things that didn't happen. A dad that's not there, a team that you get cut from, those losses. You can have some massive wins, but a loss is felt 7 times harder. So we have to create wins. We got to put people in a moment where they can identify, like, yeah, it's a struggle, it's hard work, but you can do it. Yeah, what I love for people to know about the Denver Dream Center is it really is a God story. I mean, it really started with a radical leap of faith, believing that anything's possible, and building relationships, breaking down walls. You know, my heart as a pastor is all about reconciliation. What I see in our cities, in our communities, is an opportunity for reconciliation. There's pains, there's hurts, there's a lot of systemic things that have unfolded and been uncovered, but we don't let the pains of the past determine our future. And so if we can get people to sometimes just show up, you know, and it's okay to agree to disagree. Right? We have virtues and we have values. My values may differ than yours when it comes to my faith or certain things, but virtues, we're going to agree that every kid should get a good education. No kid should sleep on the floor and not have a bed or a mattress or a pillow. Every ex-offender coming out of prison should have the opportunity to get a fair market job to reestablish their life. There's certain virtues that we can land on. And again, we say it's our permission slip for partnership. We understand that we are not an island to ourselves. Our city has more needs than any one organization can ultimately meet or need. So we work with the city, whether it's the mayor, public safety, Denver Parks and Rec, Denver Public Schools, police department, anyone that has an interest in what's going on in our city, but mobilizing volunteers from churches to youth groups to schools to sports teams to real estate companies, so that we can bring people to a place to volunteer. Yeah, you know, what's important for me, I'm sort of the outside guy working my way in, right, with my brother's keeper, but I love it because, again, it's this unity in our diversity. And an organization like my brother's keeper is the tip of the spear that really pulls together, you know, resources, solution providers, organizations. And I love that it is expanded, that like a guy like me can be involved and be a part of this, because it's the collective voices, it's shared spaces and opportunities, it's humanity that we get to work together. And my brother's keeper is an incredible platform, not just in Denver, but nationally, making a difference in our country. And so hopefully more people get invested, know what's going on, and can be a part.